Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Welcome back to Bhagavad Gita sessions. We are in the middle of chapter 9. So let us start with Mangalacharan prayers and we will get started. Yes, ma'am, I saw your message about camera problem. No problem. Okay, so let's get started with Mangalacharan prayers. We will go to Veda base, Bhagavad Gita, introduction, and the Mangalacharan prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutaha Padkamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namahom Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. All right, wonderful. So we are going to dive into some of the most beautiful verses of Bhagavad Gita today. Like I said last time, these two verses, 9.13 and 9.14, are two of the most important verses so far in Bhagavad Gita. So I'm really looking forward to today's verses that we will cover in Bhagavad Gita because of their such deep and so much importance to the overall message of Bhagavad Gita. Okay. So let me set up my notes in front of me here. All right. So let me first explain the context behind these verses, and then I will go into the verses. Here. Okay. So are you seeing my screen?
Not yet, Prabhuji.
No.
Okay. Sorry. Share screen. Okay, now.
Yes, now we can see.
Yes,
All right, great. So, a whole new section has started in the Bhagavad Gita. So before I get started, I will repeat our usual sort of ground rules. Please pay careful attention. Sit down in a nice quiet place where you can listen carefully with your Bhagavad Gita as it is in hand, and following through as we go along. And if you have any questions, raise your hand using Zoom. In the Zoom, there is a raise hand button, or put your question in the chat. And keep yourself muted unless you have to speak. And raise your hand early, or put in your questions early as they come, so I know that there are questions. Otherwise, I'll just want to keep going verse after verse after verse. And later on, when we don't have time left, then there are so many questions, then I don't have time to know how many questions to expect. So some just basic logistics, okay? But most importantly, very carefully and with a devoted mind, with a mind of bhakti and shraddha, please pay attention. Okay, so we started a new section last time, Lord Krishna began to describe a whole spectrum of devotees, or of not devotees, of people, how they relate to Krishna. Lord Krishna began the chapter more or less at 9.4, describing how inconceivably inconceivable he is. But then later on, he simplified the message for everyone, describing how we can try to conceive some part of who Krishna is. And the main aspect is that he is the Supreme Lord. He is the creator, maintainer, and destroyer of the whole creation. He is basically the source and the destination. He is the origin and the destination of everything. Everything starts with Krishna, everything ends with Krishna. What else can be there, right? So the starting, beginning, starting, middle, and end, everything is Krishna. That's what he said. But many people don't believe that, don't trust that, don't have faith in that. And those two verses were covered in 9.11 and 9.12. They are known as asuras, or you can say demons. But there is a whole spectrum of people, how they approach Lord Krishna. So this is the sort of the worst, if I can say, worst end of the spectrum. You don't want to be on this end of the spectrum. Now, Lord Krishna will describe 9.13 and 9.14. In these two verses, Lord Shri Krishna will describe the Shuddha Bhaktas. Shuddha Bhakta, or pure devotees. Another name that he gives for Shuddha Bhakta is Mahatma. Mahatma, as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned, means pure devotee. We have given new meaning of Mahatma. Aap to Mahatma hai, or something like that, as a great person. So anybody who is little bit above average, or very much above average, but still at a human level, we call Mahatma. That is not the definition of Mahatma that Bhagavad Gita Lord Krishna is using. Mahatma is much, much, much more than that, and is being referred to as a pure devotee. Okay, so this is the meaning of Mahatma that is applicable from Bhagavad Gita standpoint. And these two verses, 9.13 and 9.14, are describing the other end of the spectrum. And then in 9.15, Lord Krishna will describe everybody in the middle. And there are three levels that Lord Krishna will describe in 9.15. And then they will be covered in detail in some of the other. So I will cut this out and move this here, pure devotee, and then I will come back here. So these three levels that are there, we will call it A, B, C. They are described in detail in some other portions of Bhagavad Gita, which I will fill in the blank over Over here, I will fill in the blank. Over here, I will fill in the blank. And over here, I will fill in the blank. That Lord Krishna will describe. So 9.15 is more like a table of contents, where Lord Krishna will say there are more categories of people, how they approach me. And they are described like this. So before we go into the middle three categories, okay, so this chart, what it is showing is categories of jivas, or we can say people, how they approach Krishna, or we can say relate to Lord Krishna. So these are the categories. So total 5 categories have been shown. One, or we can say 3 categories. This is category 2, 2A, 2B, 2C, and category number 3. So now we are discussing category number 3. I am just giving these numbers from my side. Third category is pure devotees. One category is pure demons, asura, rakshasa. So third category, and then we will come into the middle categories. Okay, is this understanding, basic understanding clear as to what is going on at this point in Bhagavad Gita? Makes sense? So that's why it's important to join early. Those who will miss this basic understanding will not make sense of the whole chapter or next several verses. So that's why please join on time. Or those of you who have joined, you are already on time. And those who are not joined, they didn't hear this message. Anyway, so 9.13 and 9.14. Who are being referred to here in 9.13 and 9.14? Who can tell?
Pure devotees.
Pure devotees. Very nice. So the difference between 9.13, again, I will just cut this out, move it here. 9.13 is describing the internal state, or we can say attitude, or we can say mentality of pure devotees. And 9.14 is going to describe the external activities of pure devotees. So the main difference is internal and external. So 9.13 is focusing on the internal. What is the bhaav? And the 14 is describing the external actions, how it manifests in one's activities. So both are important, and it's not just the external activities that are there. One has to have the internal mood, the internal convictions about bhakti, about devotion to Lord Shri Krishna. And just having internal convictions is not enough. It should manifest into action, into activity. Okay, like a mother. Any mother here wants to say? So, do you love your child inside your heart? Every mother will say yes, isn't it? But do you just stop there? If the child is crying, you will say, oh, I love you very much, but I won't do anything for you. So that is not consistent. So there can be love in the heart, but there also, when there is true love in the heart, then it always translates into external actions. Otherwise, if it is not translating into external actions, then maybe the love in the heart is not true love. Maybe. So I have not come across any scenario where there is only internal and no external manifestation. And obviously, we can all understand that just external manifestation of love, but no internal belief, no internal faith, no internal conviction is pretense. So many people do that. We are all expert in that. We pretend to love somebody, but in our heart, there is no real love. isn't it? Like our boss or something in office. Oh, you're such a nice boss. I have never seen a better boss than you. And inside you're thinking, what a jerk. So, like that, or so many other relationships are there which are at a superficial or a pretense level. So both are important. That is the main point. It's not either or, it is and. So 9.13 we will go into. It's a very, very beautiful verse, and we will go into some of the details. Mahatmanastu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. So what is Lord Krishna saying about pure devotees? So please remember, this verse is about pure devotees, about the internal mood of pure devotees. So first Lord Krishna is saying, Mahatmanas tu mam partha. So such people are Mahatmas, the pure devotees. What about them? Because in the previous two verses, he has described Asuras or Rakshasas. Now Lord Krishna is saying, and now I am describing Mahatmas. What do they do, my dear Partha? To me, Mam, what ashray do they take? Daivim prakritim ashritaha. So please focus on the word ashritaha, or we can say ashraya. What does ashraya mean? Ashraya means take shelter. Now in the previous verse, you will see prakritim mohinim ashritaha. They take the ashraya of the illusory energy of Krishna. Mohini means illusory. So the illusory energies ashraya they take. Rakshasim asurim chaiva prakritim mohinim ashritaha. That was there in 9.12. The asuras do that. They just think that this world is everything. So if I can conquer this world, if I can somehow control the world, I will be happy. Just like Hiranyakashipu, he wanted to ask Brahmaji how nobody should kill him in the day or night or inside or outside. He wanted to control, put everything under his control so that he can overpower, he can oppress others and become happy. That was his plan. Whereas the pure devotees, they do not take shelter of the illusory aspect of Lord's creation. They take as ashraya of what? So this ashraya means it all depends on what shelter you are taking. They take ashraya of daivim prakritim, the divine. Daivim, nature. Prakritim means nature. They take shelter of the divine nature of Lord Krishna. Mam daivim prakritim ashritaha. You can read it like that. So Mahatmanas tu mam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha. So they take shelter of my divine energy. So that's what Srila Prabhupada is translating. O son of Pritha, those who are not deluded, the great souls, Mahatmas, that is, are under the protection of the divine nature. So once you take shelter, you get the protection, right? So it's kind of same thing. Now, what this means, they are taking the shelter of the divine nature. Now, everybody has to take shelter of something. Hiranyakashipu, who was the biggest demon, was also a demon because he took shelter of the boons given by Brahmaji. Somehow he obtained those powers that nobody shall be able to kill me and this and that, whatever, you know the story of Hiranyakashipu. The biggest, he is considered to be the greatest among all the asuras. Nobody reached that level of asuric tendency as Hiranyakashipu. In the whole of Bhagavatam, he is considered the biggest demon, biggest terrorist, or the biggest opposer of Krishna or Vishnu. So whereas the pure devotees take shelter of the divine nature. Divine nature in this verse, and our acharyas have described the divine nature, daivim prakritim, or the divine energy. Prakriti also is called as energy. And the divine energy of Krishna is Srimati Radharani. She is the embodiment of the divine energy of Lord Shri Krishna. So the pure devotees, they take shelter of Srimati Radharani. So this is the verse. There is no mention of Srimati Radharani in entire Bhagavad Gita. But Lord Krishna carefully hid a reference to Srimati Radharani in 9.13. And the words used for Radharani are Daivim Prakritim. And Lord Krishna has said in their minds, in their hearts, all my devotees take shelter of Sri Radha. Okay? Because Lord here is saying, you must take shelter of my devotee. Now, these are some various explanations or various levels of understanding. We must always take shelter of the devotees of Krishna, not directly of Krishna, because it is very, very hard to attract Lord Krishna's attention directly. Lord Krishna's attention is very hard to get. He does not give his attention very easily. So Srimati Radharani is the best devotee among all in the whole of the universe, material and spiritual. If you consider, the greatest devotee of Lord Shri Krishna is Srimati Radharani. And there are many other devotees. So our instruction is always to take shelter of the devotees of Lord Krishna, and they will take us, they will lead us to Krishna. They look at their dependents. Who is dependent on me? Let me take care of them. And when Krishna's attention is on Srimati Radharani, and he sees, oh, Radharani is giving her attention to this person. Who is this person whom she is giving her attention to? That's how we get the attention of Lord Shri Krishna. Okay. So this is how the devotees internally surrender themselves, surrender in love, in devotion to the other devotees of Lord Krishna, highest of them being Srimati Radharani. That is why in Vrindavan, if you go there, you will not see people saying Krishna, Krishna. They will always say Radhe, Radhe.
Radhe, Radhe.
Because in their mind, they are always taking shelter of Lord Srimati Radharani. Because if Srimati Radharani gives us shelter, Lord Krishna has to give shelter. He has no choice, whether he likes it or not. Okay? Like, somebody you love in the material world, if he brings a pet home, the parents cannot say, no, my child has brought a pet. Okay, fine, we will accept it. I have seen so many parents like that. Say, I don't want a pet. I don't want a pet. But the child says, no, no, I want a pet. I want a pet. And they bring a little dog in the house. And then father says, okay, fine, no problem. Because they love the child, not because they love the dog. So we can all become dogs of Srimati Radharani. No problem in that. We will be so happy. Then that dog can live in the big house nicely. He can sit on the sofa, watch TV, get ice cream to eat, all those things. Just because he has attracted the attention of the child, not of the master, of the child. But the master loves the child. I hope you are following the logic. Okay. So we must become devotees of the devotees. That should be our goal. That is the easiest and best way. That is the shortcut to Krishna. So in this verse, Lord Krishna is describing the shortcut to attract Krishna's attention. Okay, this is the shortcut. Because to attract Krishna's attention in the normal way through direct service of Krishna will take a very long time, lot of effort. So this is take shelter. What is the answer? Take shelter of devotee or devotees of Krishna. That is the shortcut. Okay. So those are the first two lines. Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritaha Now, couple of other things. It's not like I have just taken shelter. What else they do? Bhajanti ananya manaso. Bhajanti ananya manaso. So this word ananya is coming again. Ananya, no other. Single pointed towards Krishna. Single pointed what? Bhajan. Single pointed bhajan towards Krishna. Srimati Radharani also likes that my devotee is not, she's not interested in devotee doing her bhajan. She is interested in devotees doing Krishna's bhajan. Radharani likes that so much. So bhajanti ananya manaso, single pointed. This is very important. Ananya. This word is extremely important. It has come so many places in Bhagavad Gita. Ananya manaso. Without putting our attention anywhere else. Ananya manaso, our mind, and doing bhajan. Doing our bhajan, which means internally putting our devotion towards Lord Shri Krishna. Gyatva, so this is number C, 9.13 part C. Part D is Gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Bhuta adim avyayam. So Gyatva, the word Gyatva is very important. Very, very, very important. Gyatva. There has to be some level of understanding or knowledge. Gyatva comes from Gyan. Gyan means knowledge. Some level of understanding that who is Krishna. So the point is, no need, no blind faith. No blind faith that without knowing who is Krishna, oh yes, I love Krishna. I am surrendering to Krishna. I am a devotee of Krishna. Who is Krishna? Why you are surrendering to him? No idea. Some understanding is always there. Now, this does not mean that one has to have Bhagavad Gita understanding or very deep understanding, but some little understanding. So there can be 100% bhakti, but little bit, 0.5%, 0.01% gyan also has to be there. That who is Krishna? And the minimum gyan is that he is our father. Bhut adim avyayam. That means adi means the beginning or the origin. Bhuta means all the living entities or even the non-living, everything. He is the origin. Everything is coming from Krishna. We are all part and parcel of Krishna. Avyayam. He is the eternal, the spiritual origin of everything. So when we know that Krishna is so great, we are so tiny, and we therefore love Krishna like our everything, like our father, our mother, our everything, our whole existence depends on Krishna. That much jnana, this 2 lines only. So even if you ask a very illiterate person in Vrindavan or any holy place that, what do you know about, why are you so devoted to Krishna? What do you think he will say? He will say, I don't know who is Krishna. Will he say that? He or she? Something they will be able to say, isn't it? Even if that person is the most illiterate, does not know anything, what do you think they will say? Anybody? Or if you have met somebody like that, very simple person, very illiterate, doesn't know anything, does not even know ABCD, does not even know 2 + 2 = 4. But if he is a pure devotee, what will he say? He will say what?
Parampita, Paramatma.
He is Parampita, Paramatma.
Everything.
He is everything. At the minimum, he will say he is everything. He will say, I am alive because of him. He is giving everything.
He is the Lord.
He is the Lord, my Lord. Isn't it? That much gyan has to be there. So that gyan, that little minimum gyan is being described in D. Gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Not just in this life, he is my father, or like that. In next life, somebody else. Not like that. Avyayam, eternal father. He is the eternal origin of everything. So gyatva bhutadim avyayam. That much basic minimum gyan they have. And their whole mind is dedicated to Krishna. Bhajanti ananya manaso. So you have followed all the 4 lines. Okay. Daivim, Mahatmanas tumam partha daivim prakritim ashritam. Bhajanti ananya manaso gyatva bhutadim avyayam. Okay, so we have covered all the 4 lines. Let me look at my notes and see what I missed. Okay, so the essence of this verse is the internal mood of a devotee. Okay, taking shelter of other devotees, pure devotees, and with single pointed focus, not putting your legs in 2 boats, single pointed focus, doing bhajan of Krishna. Okay, that is the essence of the message. So essence is, what are the essential points? Take shelter of pure devotee. Number 2, single pointed focus, do bhajan of Krishna. And little, at least little knowledge that Krishna is God. So these are the essential points of 9.30. Okay. This is the mood of a pure devotee or Mahatma. Okay, now 9.14. 9.14 is describing the activity.
Satatam kirtayanto.
Activity of
pure.
Please mute yourself. Activity of a pure devotee, what he does. Okay. Now, these are some very, very, very important points. 4 or 5 important points will be there. In the last verse, we listed down 4 essential points. This verse also has few very, very essential points. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha drihavrataha namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So, what does he do? Satatam kirtayanto mam. Satatam, what does satatam means? Always, always, nirantar, continuous, non-stop. That is what satatam means. So we are talking about pure devotee. Now you may say, how can anybody do that continuously? That is the difference between us and pure devotee. Okay, they can do it. Now we can also do it. What can we do? Satatam kirtayanto? Not mam. Satatam kirtayanto, money, 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 money. We know how to do that, isn't it? Everything that we discuss, for many people, it is about profit and loss? Is what is being said in my benefit or in my loss? So when we can do satatam kirtayanto, money, 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 at least we get an idea that it is possible to do satatam kirtayanto of something. Then why not Mam? Why not Krishna? So we at least get a answer to the question that is it possible? Answer is what? Yes, it is possible. So at least we have dispelled the doubt that it is possible. Now we have to see what to put our satatam kirtayanto off or towards, whether it is money, 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 power, 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 whatever may be the case, or whether it is Krishna, 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 Krishna. That is the difference between us, pure materialists, and pure devotees. Okay, we are all pure. Either we are pure materialist or pure devotee. Of course, there are shades in between also. So what are the pure devotees do? Satatam kirtayanto mam. So always, continuously, non-stop. That is the meaning of satatam. Always. Kirtayanto, this is the only place, this is the one occurrence of the word kirtana. It will be mentioned at many places in different words, different synonyms will be used. Bhajana, kirtana, all these are synonyms. But the word, specifically the word kirtana, is coming here in 9.14. Kirtayanto mam, kirtana of Krishna, not of money, 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 but of Krishna. So always doing kirtan of Krishna. Third point, yatantascha. So this yatanta means putting effort. So you have to put effort with determination. Yatantascha dridha vrataha. Dridha vrata. You understand the meanings of that, right? Dridha vrataha. So Lord Krishna is saying there has to be so determined. Determination. Or with determination. Let me put it that way. With. Whoops. Anyway. With determination, putting effort with determination. Now, many people I have seen, I have talked to, we are doing these batches from long time. Some people say, nahi, whenever God wants, he will make me work towards him. He will make me do bhakti. So what am I doing? Sitting idle. I'm waiting for God to make me do the activities of bhakti, of kirtan. Prabhuji, why you are not doing kirtan? Bhagwan jab bolenge tab ho jayega. Whenever God says, then I will do kirtan, or whenever he desires, I will do. He has not desired yet, so I am not doing. I have literally heard that answer. So this putting effort with determination is absent, would you say? Maybe in their mind they have fully surrendered to Krishna. Maybe it is very unlikely. But Bhagwan himself is saying that one must put, my pure devotees, they put effort. They can argue, oh, some pure devotees automatically do kirtan, but I don't, or they put effort in doing kirtan. I don't, because I'm not putting effort, because Krishna has not yet told me to put effort. Why should I put effort? I can just sit in the armchair. No. There has to be determined effort. Determined effort. In any way, maybe not in, kirtan. Srila Prabhupada says kirtan doesn't have to mean only singing of a particular mantra. Doesn't have to mean that. Not just Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. That is one way of kirtan. But there are so many other ways of kirtan. Srila Prabhupada said that those who are printing my books in the printing press, the knowledge of the sound of printing press is kirtan. Dham, 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 like the printing press is working. That is kirtan. Okay. If you are building a temple of Krishna, then you are breaking the rocks. Phat, 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 you're breaking, or whatever you are doing. That is kirtan. So there can be kirtan in many, many ways. So kirtan does just not just mean singing a particular tune or a particular verse. That is the normal meaning or the most common meaning of kirtan. But in devotional understanding, kirtan can take many, many forms. But the constant thing, the essential thing is this. Whatever kirtan, whatever kind of kirtan we are doing, like I'm doing this class, I'm not singing here in the class, I'm talking English, prose, just English sentences. Srila Prabhupada says that is also kirtan. We are talking about Krishna, so that is kirtan. You are all listening. So you are all listening to, so we are trying to do kirtan, you are listening kirtan. So all the activities that we are doing, but what is important is this determined effort has to be there. This is very, very important characteristic of kirtan. So 2 lines we have covered. This was A, this was B. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrataha. Now, what else other than kirtan? Okay. Other than kirtan, it can be, there will be the word cha, namasyantascha. So one who is doing namaskar, namasyantascha, and mam bhaktya. So one who is doing namaskar to Krishna. So they surrender themselves to Krishna. And then, so this is line number C. And the line D is nitya yukta upasate. Again, the word nitya is coming, which is similar to satatam, nitya. Yukta. Yukta means engaged. In upasate, in upasana. Upasana means worship. So they are engaged in worship, in whatever. So what this means, these are just very broad categories that Lord Krishna is describing. Namaskar doesn't mean hold your hands together or like this and then do namaskar. That is one form of namaskar. Okay. Working for Krishna is also namaskar. And worship doesn't mean doing arati or showing a lamp or a flower to Krishna or offering water, various things to Krishna. That's not just upasana. That is the most common understanding of upasana. But when you are serving your guru, when one is serving the spiritual master, when one is distributing prasad of Lord Krishna to other living entities, that is also a form of upasana. So there are all these various ways in which one can be engaged in the service of Krishna. So the important word is engaged. One has to be engaged. This again defeats the argument, I'm just sitting. I'm sitting in a corner and just waiting for Krishna to make me engaged. No, you have to find a way in which you serve Krishna. Engagement means service. Service or seva. Just ask a mother or a father. They will love their child. Mother, father, parent to child relationship is very loving, very pure in this material world. So, it is easy to understand from the lens or filter of that relationship, what can be the highest relationship of love with Krishna. So, like we said, in a loving relationship between mother and child, there is always service, there is always seva. Mother is always thinking, how can I make my child happier? Whether if he needs milk, she will immediately bring milk. Whether he needs a bath, she will give him a bath. So many things she will do as an act of love, to express the love. There is engagement. Being a mother, everybody will say, is hard, isn't it? It's a lot of work, but it's very, very pleasing, and it is full of love. It is full of service and seva. So this is why it is said that finding our favorite seva to serve Krishna is very important. That is how we engage ourselves in Krishna consciousness, towards Krishna. For example, I like to read a lot. I like to read Bhagavad Gita. I like to read Bhagavatam, and I like to share it with others. So that is one type of seva. So there can be many people who have different types of seva. Some people want to go and sing for Krishna. Some seva can be done which involves other people. There can be seva which does not involve others, just personal between you and Krishna. That is also seva. It doesn't have to involve other people. Okay. So personal seva can just mean doing your kirtana. You are sitting in a corner, but you are actively taking the name of Krishna. But with the mood, with the knowledge that taking the name of Krishna is seva. If somebody is going to a person who is sitting in a corner and just doing his seva of kirtan or japa, and you ask him, are you serving Krishna? The answer he should give is yes. At least that is the name, that is the bhaav, that is the desire, or that is the intent. The motive is to serve Krishna by taking his name. Because Krishna feels very, very happy when his devotees take his name. That is our expression of love towards Krishna. And making Krishna happy is service to Krishna. There is no difference between serving Krishna and making him happy. And he feels very happy when devotees take his name. So that is seva. There can be so many forms of seva. So the important points in this verse, once again, always, continuously, non-stop, satatam, doing some form of kirtan to Krishna. So always doing some kirtan of Krishna. It can take many forms. The important point is it has to be with determined effort. We have to show our love through determined effort. Okay, yatantascha drihavrataha. Then other forms of seva to Krishna is namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. Always finding different ways to engage themselves in my seva, engage in my service. Okay. And various types of engagements can be there at a personal level or at a group level. So at a personal level, it can be japa, kirtana, reading shastra, and so many other things. At a group level, it can be sankirtana. Kirtana means personal kirtana. Sankirtana means in a sangha. Sangha kirtana, together kirtana. Okay, so that's why it's called sankirtana. That becomes at a group level. You know, you can distribute Krishna's literature, Krishna's words, literature, prasadam. You can, do so many things for Krishna. So many things, etc., etc., etc. So in some way or the other, serving Krishna with determined effort. So these are all the external manifestations of pure devotee. This is what a pure devotee does. He doesn't sit idle. He is doing something or the other depending upon his capacity. Another important point is depending on one's capacity. Lord Krishna sees the love. Not the size of the output. Okay. Mother Teresa said one thing, very beautiful quote, that God, or we must do, or what is it? There is no need to do great things for God. We can do little things with great love. Okay? No need to do great things for God. It is sufficient to do little things with great love. So the greatness has to be in our consciousness, in our love, in our bhaav. Okay? So very nice example of this is Krishna sees the love, not the size, is that of Hanumanji. Of course, not Krishna, but Rama, versus the squirrels. When the bridge was being built, Hanumanji was carrying these huge mountains and putting it into the ocean to make the bridge, isn't it? Hanumanji and Jambavant, they were the two big generals. And the little squirrels, what were they doing? Were they able to lift the big mountains? No. They were taking little sand in their tail and trying to, as if trying to put some, cement or some glue between the rocks. And Lord Sri Ram was so happy with both of them. He was very happy with Hanumanji and he was equally happy with the squirrels. But you can see the difference in the output. Output of Hanumanji was, greater than all the squirrels put together. But the love of each of them was the same. They were doing it, their seva to Lord Sri Ram, according to their capacity. So don't think, so never reach the, one important point is never compare your seva with others. Compare it with yourself. Am I doing the best I can, or am I holding back? When you start giving a donation to Krishna, you open your wallet. You start by thinking, I'll give 101. Then by the time your wallet is in the hand, it becomes, chalo 51 chalega. Then when you actually give, it is just 11. Isn't it? Has it happened sometimes? So are we holding back? Are we being stingy? Conjuice? Are we being miserly? Or are we being wholehearted? With full heart we are giving to Krishna. That is what he sees. According to our capacity. Okay? So we should never compare our seva with others. We should compare our seva with our own stinginess. Are we being stingy or are we being fully wholehearted? Another example again of Lord Sri Ram is that of Jatayu. He tried to stop Ravana, isn't it? Was he successful in stopping Ravana? No. But was he successful in his life? Was his life successful?
Yes.
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhuji.
Why was it successful?
He was able to convey the message.
Yes, he was able to serve Lord Ram.
Serve Ram.
Yes. And what did Lord Ram do? He hugged him. He gave him back his love. And ultimately, the last rites of Jatayu were performed by none other than Lord Sri Ram. What greater definition of success can be there? Even though he failed. So there was success even in his failure. Isn't it? So the seva has to be dependent on one's capacity, but we must always try to do seva of Bhagavan, of devotees. Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We recite that verse, right? Nashta prayeshu abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavat means serving the pure devotees and serving the words of Lord Shri Krishna, the Srimad Bhagavatam. So these are some of the important messages. I'm not going to write it again. You can see it here, all these points. Okay. Nitya Yukta Upasate. So this is very important. This verse is all about engagement. No armchair bhakti. It's not about armchair bhakti. Well, you can do your japa in the armchair. So, but I'm not saying that. You can do it, don't take it literally that if all I'm doing is japa in my armchair, that is enough. But no, like there has to be some engagement, including just sitting and doing your japa. Satatam kirtayanto mam yatantascha dridhavrata namasyantascha mam bhaktya nitya yukta upasate. So very, very important verses. So let me see what my notes have. I'm just going through a lot of notes. I have almost 5 or 8 pages of notes, but I think I covered all the points. I'm just reading through it and seeing what points I missed. Now, yes, one point I wanted to mention. Sometimes, now please pay attention. Please pay attention. This is a very important point for practicing devotees. Sometimes the seva bhaav completely overtakes our consciousness. So it is just seva. So we fill our lives with seva. And this seva, whether it is japa, whether it is cooking prasadam, whether it is cleaning, whether it is some kind of management work, planning activities, like Janmashtami is going to come in 2 months. Very many devotees in many temples are beginning to do all the planning. Thousands and thousands of people come on Janmashtami. All these seva, including japa, people keep doing and they fill out their time, but they lose touch of why am I doing the seva. They lose touch with the jnana. And after some time, once they begin to lose touch, then sometimes it may begin to become a drag or a burden. Or you start seeing faults. Oh, I am doing so much. He's not doing that much. And not only he's not doing, he is creating problems in my seva. Or he's not letting me do what I want, or this or that. And some kind of maya creeps in our seva. This is maya coming into our seva. Okay. So we must be very, very, very careful that we must always be in touch of why am I doing the seva. And this comes by regular Bhagavat Shravana. That is why Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya, the word seva is there in Bhagavata Sevaya. But the word Bhagavata means two things. Means the person Bhagavata, which means serving the devotees, but also the book Bhagavata, which means reading. So this is our seva aspect, and this is our reading aspect. And not just mechanical reading. Okay, take a book. Today we will read from this place to this place, this page to this page. And then we read it. At that time, the words make sense. After half an hour, if I ask, what was the essence? Give me some 5 points, main points that you took away. And I wonder, oh, what did I read? I have no idea. Even try to struggle to understand 1 point or reproduce 1 point that was read. So reading with an open mind, as if I have to give an exam after I am done with the reading, as if I have to write a test. Reading with attention, with trying to absorb, and not only that, and trying to rectify. Oh, I am reading this. Where am I not following it myself? Trying to see that feedback loop. So that is called very careful, very authentic reading. So in that way, when we read, we get in touch with why am I doing the seva? And then these Maya thoughts will not come. Oh, I am doing so much seva, he's not doing. Why is he not doing? He should not be in the temple. I should be in the temple only. I should be the first in the line. This, that, all these 10,000 different manifestations can be there. So just seva, seva, seva is also has a potential for problems. One must engage in or constantly remember why one is doing the seva. Okay.
Prabhuji, there's a question on this.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Sure.
Yeah, so when you said that the seva itself can be can be a problem sometimes, what kind of a mindset one would go through when that actual seva which was intended to be like more on the humility side changes into more into this Maya side?
I gave you some
I'm just trying to.
I gave you some examples. Go ahead.
No, I'm trying to understand कि वो क्या सोच रहा होगा. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, how did that turn? Like, and why would it happen?
Why would it happen? It's because one is still in looking for some material outcome from the seva, and that material outcome may be something as little as, because that is our conditioning. Can you respond to what I'm saying? Whenever you are doing, do you whatever we are doing from millions and millions of our lifetimes, we are doing it for some return. I assert that. Nothing that we are doing is completely without a expectation for return. That is my assertion. And that return does not have to mean monetary return or financial or anything like that, or anything as a material thing. It could just be appreciation, little acknowledgement. They just smile at you, say a simple thank you. Or if not even that, then our personal acknowledgement. Oh, I did this. I'm such a nice person. Even if you save an ant who is drowning in the water, you pick it up and you put it outside in the grass. Ant cannot say thank you, is it? But you feel good.
It's the egocentric. It's
Yes.
You becoming more egocentric about it.
Not becoming. You are. From time immemorial, you are somebody who is hungry for acknowledgement, or your ahamkar, your ego is hungry for being satisfied. So when we are doing our seva, our conditioning is still there. We are trying to overcome it by understanding that seva of Bhagavan is simply to please him, not to please our ego. Simply to please him. The only, absolute only reason is to please him. But it doesn't mean that we must only do seva of Bhagavan when our consciousness has been 100% purified. No, that way it will take so many lifetimes. So we start doing seva even if our consciousness is not fully purified. By doing seva, it slowly becomes purified. But at the same time, we must consciously resist these thoughts of gratifying our ahamkar. We must constantly remind ourselves, why am I doing the seva? So that we can keep ahamkar outside. Completely outside. If moment we get a thought, now we must try this. If it comes and we forgot about it, fine. But the next time it comes and you are able to catch it, that aha, I'm feeling like I'm doing it for my benefit. I'm feeling so happy. I am feeling so proud that I'm doing such nice seva. All this, we must, remind ourselves, slap yourself or whatever, I'm just saying, like, remind yourself that's not the motivation. The motivation is simply to serve Krishna. I don't want anything from you, Krishna. I just wish that you are happy. That's a spiritual desire, no material desire at all. That I should feel happy, somebody else should acknowledge me, or whatever. Even though that conditioning exists from very, very long time. So that practice, the training of diminishing that thirst, that hunger for satisfying our ahamkar has to keep going on forever. And if we lose touch of why we are doing it, that ahamkar may pop up its head. And that can result in many, many ways, or it can manifest rather in many, many ways, if we let our ahamkar pop its head up. Did you follow, hopefully, what I'm saying, Mataji?
Yeah, Prabhuji, I did. I'm sorry, I'm picking up medicine, and that's why I cannot do the follow-up question, but maybe at the end of the class we would.
Okay, fine. Anything else from anyone? This is very important to understand. Yeah, somebody.
Prabhuji, I have a question.
Yes, somebody wrote,
on this.
Ki seva means with no desire at all, zero desires. And what I mean by zero desires, I should add the word zero material desire. It's not zero desire. There is a spiritual desire which is very strong, which is Krishna becoming happy with my service? But that is spiritual desire. So zero material desires. And I really want to, Mataji, Sridevi Mataji, just 1 second. I will take your question. Don't forget your question, okay? In the Bhagavad Gita 7.16 purport, okay, Srila Prabhupada has quoted the definition of bhakti. I have pointed it out before, but it is good to keep revising, keep repeating. Definition of pure bhakti. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada has quoted a verse by Sri Rupa Goswami. So let me show it to you. Where is Safari? Are you seeing my screen? Yeah. Bhagavad Gita, Chapter 7, verse number 16, purport. This verse. Anyabhilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttama. So this is the definition of uttama bhakti. Okay. And the meaning is anya abhilashita shunyam. No other desires. This is what I was talking about. Zero. Shunya. The word zero is also here. Shunya means zero. No other desire. And here Rupa Goswami is talking about very high level of desires, of some obtaining some jnana or karma or other things. Very, very high level of desires. Our desires are even more kind of cheap or, so disgusting that, oh, I should get some money. I should get some acknowledgement. Somebody should say, wah, wah, very nice, very nice. That is the level of our desire. The only desire should be anukulyena Krishna anushilanam. That Krishna should be happy. Anukulyena means something that is aligned with Krishna's happiness. Whatever makes Krishna happy, that desire we should have. And the other desires, any other desires should be zero. That is uttama bhakti. So this we should always keep in mind, because what happens, to answer your question, Parul Mataji, this desire comes up. Anya abhilashita is not shunyam. It is still non-zero. So we have to keep suppressing it. Oh my God, I am doing it. I feel I'm doing it for my happiness. No. I have to do it for Krishna's happiness. So the moment we realize it, we put it away and we prioritize Krishna's happiness.
Yeah, probably in this case, I also feel that having that community, right? They give you a reality check sooner or later, right?
Yes.
So having that community in where they say, okay, you are thinking like this, they are going to be true to you, and you can expect that, and then do a reality check time and again. Because as you said, right, like we are egocentric, and we would probably continue to be that way until unless we reach that uttama bhakti.
Yeah, but yes, and that's why it is important to connect with somebody you respect and you trust. Okay, find a sort of a spiritual guide or a mentor who can give you some honest feedback. Otherwise, sometimes you get feedback in the, like you say, you learn the hard way. You keep doing something and some ahamkar related thing comes up and you keep manifesting it. You don't check it. And then your relationship with somebody will become sour. You end up being in a fight or whatever may be the case, not a fight like a fist fight, but, just some, distance occurs between the two who are very close, but over time you become distanced. You have some criticism in your heart for them. You start drifting away. And then the loss is that you lost a nice relationship. And then afterwards you may realize, oh, I let my ahamkar take priority and I had my part in it. And you may also see that the other person may also have a part, but that's not our job to see. You see, yet I had my part in it. And the result is this. So that is called as life, you learning a lesson the hard way. So like you said, yes, interacting with others is a good way to keep giving us the practice or the training to keep our ego in check. But make sure you learn the easy way. You catch your mistakes before you have to pay the price. Or you can learn the hard way too. But yes, you're right that, it's a good way to keep ourselves trained. Okay. Yes. So we will go to Sri Devi Mataji now.
Actually, the previous verse answered my question, Prabhuji. My question was, even if you go towards moksha, like you wanted to be like, reach his Charanarvindam or the feet of the Krishna. So still there is a desire and ego that you are working towards it. So you shouldn't have that aspect also. So you have to do it for the love. Is that what I'm getting from it?
Yes, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. Now, in the, I will just mention one thing, which is a little bit advanced topic. So at a spiritual level, or spiritual desires can be of moksha at a very broad category level, or Krishna Bhakti. When I say Krishna Bhakti, I just don't mean Krishna. It could be Rama Bhakti. It could be, other forms of Krishna. But there is a sense of for me in the moksha, even though it is a spiritual desire to get out of this material world and attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death. So there is that essence of for me. Now, there are many schools of spiritual progress. For example, the school of Vedanta will focus on moksha, but the school of Bhakti focuses on pleasing Krishna, and this is secondary. This is primary. Bhakti completely trumps mukti or moksha. Okay. And there's a very nice incident or description of this given in Chaitanya Charitamrita, which is the life study of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and the interaction between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a verse. I will show you. I'm sorry, I'm going into a little bit more detail, kind of get distracted or get swayed. And that is in Canto 10. And Canto 10, let me think, Canto 10, Chapter 14, I think. Verse number 8, I think. Let's check, verse number 8. Mukti pade daya bhak. Let's see if it is this one. Yes, mukti pade sa daya bhak. So, Srimad Bhagavatam was being recited, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was listening, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who is a great devotee of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was listening, and this verse was being described. Tatte anukampam susamikshamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hrid vag vapurбhir vivadhan namaste jiveta yo mukti pade sadaya bhaka. So in short, the meaning is that one who has completely surrendered to Krishna, he becomes eligible for mukti, or mukti becomes his claim. He becomes like the claimant. When you have paid all the price, then you can claim the product, isn't it? So you have paid the price of your devotional service, and then the verse says he becomes eligible for mukti. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, this word mukti is not very right. It should be bhakti pade sadaya bhak. Because after doing such wonderful devotional service, it should be bhakti. He gets bhakti of Krishna. And just try to understand the gravity of the situation. In front of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is trying to critique Srimad Bhagavatam. He is trying to find a fault in Srimad Bhagavatam itself, which is known as the spotless Purana. No mistakes in the Purana. And he's saying, could have been a better word instead of this. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very happy with him. Of course, he did not change the Bhagavatam or anything like that. But it shows the mood of the devotee and the reciprocation of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. It shows the mood of the Lord that he accepts the fact that yes, one is eligible for bhakti. So The translation is, my dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body. It says somewhere, vak, vapu, something, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya says, no. Not only has he become eligible for liberation, he has become eligible to live with you, to get your utmost bhakti. So this whole conversation is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita, and it shows the superiority of bhakti over mukti. Also, if you do Bhakti Shastri course, there we read a book called Nectar of Devotion. And in the Nectar of Devotion, or Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, again by Srila Rupa Goswami. And of course, he is in the school of Bhakti, not in the school of Vedanta. He clearly says that Bhakti is higher than Mukti. So anyway, that was a sort of a short sidetrack into Bhakti versus Mukti. So that was your question, Sridevi Mataji, I think.
Thank you, Mataji. Thank you, Prabhuji. It answered my question. Thank you.
Yes. Somebody else had raised the hand in the middle. Anything else? So Subhash Prabhu is asking one question on the chat, that you missed 2 classes, how to remove my guilt feeling. Well, what is the guilt? I mean, if you're having, if you're not well, then that is perfectly justified. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu one time, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is none other than Krishna. He is omniscient. He knows everything. But one time, one devotee, very sweet devotee, did not come for Kirtan for many days, the Sankirtan party. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very concerned what happened to him. He went to see him at his house, and he saw that he was sick. And, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took some prasad for him and, hugged him, and he became well. So this is the Lord showing his mercy on his devotee. But yes, that devotee, did not come for Sankirtan because he could not. His body was very sick. He could not even get up, and so on. But there is no need for guilt feeling at all. As it is said here, as we just discussed, I hope you were there when we were having this. I don't know at what point you joined. That do the best you can according to your capacity. Don't kill yourself. The squirrel could have tried to lift the big rock, but then it could have gotten squashed trying to lift the big rock like Hanuman. So do according to your capacity, do your best. That is the
Thank
answer.
you very much. Thank you very much. And when you were describing about the bhakti and mukti, one thought came in my mind. When you get mukti, perhaps you go away from bhakti.
No, not necessary. That's another deep point we will cover in chapter 18. That
Okay.
Once one attains mukti, bhakti can begin. If one is, let's say, reached the stage of mukti through the process of jnana, and
Okay.
some tinge of bhakti might have been there, but bhakti can begin at that stage. Brahma bhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati sammoham sarvabhuteshu mad bhaktim labhate param. So this is 1854, that after attaining the Brahma bhuta stage, which means the Brahman stage, which means stage of liberation, mad bhaktim labhate param, he attains my bhakti. And there is a purport also by Srila Prabhupada that I need to search it. It was very recently I was reading that one could start his process of bhakti even after attaining the Brahman liberation or Brahman realization. Okay, so that is the answer.
So my understanding with this correction is that when you kind of get mukti, you get merged with the Lord, right?
No, that also is not the correct understanding. We don't become one with the Lord. We retain our individuality. So the explanation that Vedantists give is that of a river or a drop of river water merging into the ocean. Then that drop cannot be found anywhere. It has merged with the ocean. But or the rainwater, when the drop is falling from the sky and it falls into the ocean, it merges with the ocean. That is not the right analogy. The right analogy is that of a fish. When it goes from river water to sea water, let's say, the fish remains a fish. It was able, you can identify the fish, whether it is in the river water or when it has entered the ocean, the fish remains a fish. So it retains its individuality. The analogy here is that the river is material world and the ocean is the spiritual world. You are a living entity even in the material world, and you continue to be an individual living entity even when one goes into the spiritual world. The purport of 18.55 purport explains this analogy very nicely. In the purport, you can read it.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you. Okay, we shall continue then. Okay. Somebody is saying we treat you as Radharani. No need to say all that, please. Don't give me all that status. I am just repeating the message of Srila Prabhupada. So I am just a repeater. So yeah, I do not want to be, please don't put me or anybody else for that matter on such pedestal. It only, like I said, my false ego, my ahamkar has also not gone. So no need to fuel it. So please don't provide any fuel. That will be that's what my request will be from all. Okay. All right. Now 9.15. Very, very important verse. So like I said in the beginning of the class, we covered 9.11 and 12. That is the asurim or rakshasim bhava. And we covered the mahatma or the shuddha bhakta bhava in 9.13 and 14. Now 9.15, Lord Krishna will say, what are some of those who try to approach me through other means? So these are the people who approach Krishna. Approach means not like approach. They try to attack. To attack also, you can say it's like an approach, right? It's an attack kind of an approach, a retaliation or a whatever, hostile approach. So that is this. You say that, oh, Krishna is a human being. Manushim tanum ashritam. Avajananti ma mudha manushim tanum ashritam. That Krishna is just a human. That is the meaning, right? 9.11. And 9.13 says that what is that? Jatva bhutadim avyayam. That I am the origin of everything. So that is the contrast between this and this. So this is the asuric and this is the pure bhakti. Now there are some other in the middle, and we will see what those are and what is that a result of. Why that comes up or what causes that to come up. So let us read 9.15. The middle category of people who approach Krishna, which means neither demons, and this includes Mayavadis, by the way, who think Krishna is just a human. We can come to that discussion later. So those who are neither demons or Mayavadis, I shouldn't put an arrow here, I should put demons or Mayavadis, neither demons or Mayavadis, nor pure devotees. Okay. So somebody else. So what is that somebody else? So 9.15. Jnana yagyena chapyanye yajanto mamupasate ekatvena prithaktvena bahudha vishwato mukham. All right. So what are the three categories? Let's first see the three middle categories. 2A, 2B, 2C. 2A is ekatvena. Okay. The 2B category is prithaktvena bahudaha. Prithaktvena bahudha. And the third category is vishwato mukham. These are the three categories. We will see what these categories are. Okay. But what is this a result of? So those who are jnana yagyena cha api anye yajanto mam upasate. So you will see the word there, mam upasate. Mam upasate means what? They are doing some worship to me. Mam upasate. Correct? But not through bhakti, not through ananya bhajanti ananya manaso, not like that, but through jnana and karma. Jnana yagyena. Yagyena means also it is referred to the various forms of yajna, which comes through the Vedas, the Vedic processes of sacrifice, which is largely called as karma yoga. So through the process of jnana, karma, cha api, and other processes. Anye, these are some other processes other than Shuddha Bhakti. Anye means other than Shuddha Bhakti. So these are different processes. Yajanto mam upasate, but indirectly, now the word indirectly is not here. They are doing, so yajanta means all these sacrifices, these various karma yoga activities. Knowingly or unknowingly, ultimately they are doing my worship. And we will see very soon in the 9th chapter how all kinds of activities, all kinds of jnana, karma, etc. is ultimately going towards Krishna. So Lord Krishna is saying that through these processes, they are actually worshipping me. So they are also in this spectrum. So we drew this spectrum, right? 9.11 and 9.12. These are the asuras. 9.13 and 9.14 is the bhaktas, or even we can say Shuddha bhaktas. Okay. Then through the process of jnana and karma, this is through the process of bhakti. So there are processes, other processes of jnana and karma. They are also in an indirect way, they are worshipping me. Therefore, they are not here. They are not an asura. They are somewhere in the middle. And then we have this 2A, 2B, 2C. Lord Krishna is giving these three categories. Ekatvena, prithaktvena, bahudha, and vishwato mukham. So what does ekatvena mean? Ekatvena means the Brahman understanding. Okay. The understanding of the Brahman. We have already discussed many times Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan, isn't it? So this is the Brahman understanding that everything is spiritual. Ultimately, everything is spirit soul, is a part and parcel of the spiritual energy. So we are all spiritual. So that is the Brahman understanding. Looking at everything as one. Now the correct understanding is, yes, we are all one, but only in quality, not in quantity. That is the difference between Jiva and Bhagavan. That is the correct understanding. They either don't know that, or even if they know, they ignore. They just focus on the oneness part. Okay? So those are the ones who are called as Ekattvenas. Then Prithaktvena Bahudha. Next category is those who are worshipping the demigods. Demigods means Devis, Devatas. Bahudha, there are so many demigods, so many of them. So for various purposes and reasons, one is worshipping the demigods. Okay? And Vishwato Mukham is purely at the material level. One is just worshipping nature, material nature. Worship of everything that we see around us. We consider that as a manifestation of the Supreme. So many people say that nature is God. In fact, the scientists say that the most. The most prestigious journal of science is called Nature. So we are trying to figure out nature, how nature works. Nature is the highest thing that we know. Okay, so that is Vishwato Mukham, but the world, the universe as we see it, is also coming from Krishna, but they don't know that. They just see the universe and say, aha, this is the greatest thing we know. And those people are called as people who are worshipping the Vishwato Mukham, the form of the Lord, whose face is like this material world, Vishwato Mukham, and what is also known as the universal form or the Vishwarupa form. So this is the Vishwarupa form. Worshippers. Okay. Now, in this one verse, Lord Krishna is saying there are these three categories of other kind of worshippers of me. They may or may not know that they are ultimately worshipping me, but they are worshipping either the Brahman or the various Devi Devatas or the Vishwarupa, means material nature. And this is described in greater detail. The Ekatvena will be covered in chapter 12, the discussion of Ekatvena. So that's why we see from chapter 10, there's a link to chapter 12. The Prithaktvena Bahudha, this will be dealt with in chapter 9 itself, 9.20 to 25. 6 verses will be dealt with the demigod worship. And this one, the universal form, very famous chapter, chapter number 11. And to a certain extent, chapter 10 also, but mainly chapter 11. The Vishwarupa form will be described in detail by Lord Krishna. So from chapter 9, we get a sort of a glimpse into chapter 10, 11, and 12. That's why this verse is so important, 9.15. It is pointing to the next 3 chapters. All right. And this happens, or they come to this understanding, or they come to worship the Ekatvena or Prithaktvena Bahudha or Vishwato Mukham if they have been following the process of jnana or karma, not bhakti. Okay. So those who are performing the process of jnana or karma go into these 3 realizations or these 3 understanding. They begin to worship these 3 different possible forms. Those who are complete materialists, where do they go in this spectrum? Complete materialists.
Asura.
Asura, very nice. And then what is left is Shuddha Bhaktas, which are here. So this is the whole spectrum. Are you following the spectrum?
Sir, this 2A to 2C, is it not a stepping stone to 9.13 and 9.14?
No. So, okay, very nice question. Let us say one is in the Asuric mentality or somewhere here, let's say, not like completely Hiranyakashipu, but we are all little Hiranyakashipus, right? In our own life. You know, khao piyo mast raho. That is Hiranyakashipu. Maybe we are not killing other people. Hiranyakashipu was killing so many people, right? So we are not going around killing, but we are, you know, busy in our own sense gratification. So we may somewhere here, wherever, I don't know. But to reach here, your question, Makarand Prabhu, is that do we have to go through this 1, 2, 3, and then 4? Answer is no. Then it will take you 500 million, billion, trillion lifetimes. That is not the recommended path. The recommended path is you are here, you go directly here. No need, absolutely no need to go through this. This is not the case. No. Okay? Directly we should perform bhakti. Wherever we are, we should perform Krishna bhakti. So these are not stepping stones. Yes, they could be, but you want to, you know, undertake this journey of 10 trillion lifetimes, fine. Or as Srila Prabhupada said, wherever you are, you can go here to here in one lifetime. And the problem is not that it will take you 10 million lifetimes. That's not the only problem. You could fall back here also. You are from here, you could fall back. Then what we will do? Back to square one. So Srila Prabhupada describes it like you have to climb a 100-story building and there is staircase and there is elevator. Which one will you take?
Elevator.
Why not the staircase? Yes, yes. Why
Longer.
not the staircase? There are two problems.
Longer and tiring.
Longer and tiring.
There may be distractions on different floors.
That is also the case. There is distractions. And then you will say, no, floor number 45 looks great. I will just live here.
Something happening there and we may get distracted.
And the third, so that is another reason. The third reason is while climbing 100 stairs, you may be dead. You
Yes,
may never reach
yes.
anywhere.
We may not reach.
Okay. So bhakti is like the elevator. All the results, and we will see this, not we will see, we are in 9th chapter. We already covered 8th chapter. What does Lord Krishna say in the 8th chapter, last verse? 8.27 and 8.28. Lord Krishna says that all the results of all other processes are included in the process of bhakti. Okay, let us see 8.27 and 8.28. This is very important. Library, Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8. Last two verses very quickly. We will just read the translation for sake of time. Although the devotees know these two paths, and two paths here are being shown, that of bhakti and yoga. Various types of yoga is combined into one path. They are never bewildered, therefore always be fixed in devotion or in bhakti. A person who accepts the path of devotional service is not bereft of the results derived from studying the Vedas, performing sacrifices, undergoing austerities, giving charity, pursuing philosophical and fruitive activities. Simply by performing devotional service, he attains all these. Okay? So by doing bhakti, you automatically get the results of all the other processes of yoga. So it is not a stepping stone.
Right.
Okay, so that is a very good question and very relevant question. Okay. Anything else?
So the elevator is better, sir?
Yes,
Of course.
of course.
Elevator is better because we don't have time.
Yeah, exactly. We don't have time. Well, we can say we have time. Like I said, if you want to live for 10 trillion years, 10 trillion lifetimes, can keep taking birth, and death, then we may have time, but it's very, very mind-boggling to even think of that possibility.
No, we don't want that option.
Yeah. Okay, very nice. Now, shall we proceed then? So Mataji, one Mataji, Saloni Mataji is asking, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, is chanting Mahamantra also a form of sacrifice, yajna, in Kaliyuga? Yes, yajna means any kind of activity that we do towards making spiritual progress through a process of sacrificing. So, yajna, the chanting the holy name, is actually called Sankirtan Yajna. That is the official name. And it is the activity, the recommended yajna for Kaliyuga. For Kaliyuga, the recommended yajna or the recommended practice of spiritual progress is chanting the holy name, especially for Kaliyuga. And you want to see the Shastric proof for that? I can show you. It is in Canto 12, Srimad Bhagavatam. Canto 12, I think, let us, chapter 3 and last verse, whatever that is. Last verse, I think verse 53 or something. So 12.3, let us go to 12.3. Library, Srimad Bhagavatam, last canto 12, chapter 3, I think. Yes, 52, verse 52. So what it says here, Krite yad dhyayato vishnum tretayam yajato makhaihi dvapare paricharyayam kalau tad hari kirtanam. What it means? Krite means Satyuga. So Krite yad dhyayato vishnum means in the Krite or in the Satyuga, whatever benefit is obtained by dhyayato vishnum, by meditating on Vishnu. So what this means is that the method for spiritual progress in Satyuga is to meditate on Vishnu. So whatever we benefit we get at that, from that, which is again, you know, liberation or whatever you can call it, moksha or whatever, that is the benefit. But that benefit in Satyuga, you have to do dhyayato Vishnu. You have to meditate on Vishnu. Tretayam yajato makhaihi. What it means is that in the Treta Yuga, the same benefit is obtained through doing elaborate sacrifices, yajnas. That is called makhai, yajato makhaihi. That same word yajato was used here. Yajanto mam upasate. Doing the various types of sacrifices. In 9.15 it said, right? Jnana yajna chapyanye yajanto mam upasate. That same word yajanto or yajato is mentioned over here. This one. So in Treta Yuga, that same benefit was available through performing detailed, elaborate sacrifices. Dwapare paricharyayam. Paricharyayam means deity worship, worshipping the deity. So you can see the standards are becoming lower and lower. So just doing worship of the deity in Dwapare. Kalau tad, the same, tad means the same. That same benefit in Kalau can be obtained through Hari Kirtanad, through Hari Kirtan. So Hari Kirtan of Kaliyuga is the same as Treta's Yajna, or the same as Satyuga's meditation on Vishnu, or Dwapara Yuga's worship of Lord's deity form. So Mataji, can you read the translation here of this verse? Maybe possible to unmute and read. Who asked the question?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I
Yes.
asked. Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you for the explanation. The translation is, whatever result was obtained in Satyug by meditating on Vishnu, in Tretayug by performing sacrifices, and in Dwapar by serving the Lord's lotus feet, can be obtained in Kaliyug simply by chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
So that is the answer.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
So this is, oops. So this is not 53, it is 52. So 12.3.52, very important verse, keep it in mind. Srimad Bhagavatam, that is. Okay, very good. Anything else? Okay, let us make some progress, quick progress. Today we will cover 4 verses in 10 minutes. We have never covered that fast because these are quick ones. Okay, so 9.16 to 9.19. Okay, and so let me give a small correction here. Chapter 11 is this Vishwato Mukham, but also in 9.16 to 9.19. So there is 2 times this is referred. So in 9.16 to 9.19, we will see a reference to universal form. How Lord Krishna is saying that whatever you are seeing in the world around you, it is ultimately me. I am everything that you see around yourself, and I am a much more. I am not just limited to what you see around yourself. I am much, much more, but I am definitely whatever you see around me. Okay. So actually, you know what? We will not do that. Are there any announcements or anything? What else there? Tell me.
Group Japa session on Thursdays, and then
Acha, theek hai. I'll tell. So I will give the brief description, but we will go through these verses next time. Okay. So Lord Krishna here says, and maybe I can just read these verses are very, very beautiful to recite. I just love, reciting the verses. Aham kratur, aham yajna, swadhaham, aham aushadham, mantro aham eva, ajyam, aham agnir, aham hutam. So very nice to recite. We will go a little bit in detail, but still quickly next class. So here, Lord Krishna, I'll just read the translation of these verses. Maybe I'll just read it from Veda base. We'll go to library, Bhagavad Gita Chapter 9, and you will see here from 16 to 19 how Lord Krishna is saying, I am everything that you see around you. Okay, so it is I who am the ritual. I am the sacrifice, the offering to the ancestors, the healing herb, the transcendental chant, Om is referred there. I am the butter and the fire and the offering. I am the father of the universe, he says here. Pita aham jagatasya, that's the Sanskrit. I am the father, the mother, Mata, the supporter, Dhata, and the grandsire, Pitamaha. So Pita aham jagatasya, Mata, Dhata, Pitamaha. I am the object of knowledge, the purifier and the symbol Om. I am also the Rig, Sama and Yajurvedas. I am the goal, the sustainer, the master, the witness, the abode, the refuge and the most dear friend. I am the creation and the annihilation, the basis of everything and the resting place and the eternal seed. O Arjuna, I give heat and I withhold and send forth the rain. I am immortality and I am also death personified. Both spirit and matter are in me. So this basically, these 4 verses, 16 to 19, are showing the universal form of Krishna, which Lord Krishna will describe in much greater detail in chapter 11. upon Arjuna's request. Arjuna is not satisfied with just 4 verses. He's so much, in ecstasy. He is so much in bliss. He wants more detailed description. So he will ask for that and he will get it. So here in these 4 verses, Lord Krishna is describing in brief, the universal form. So universal form, or the Vishwarupa form, or the Vishwato Mukham, as is referenced in Mukham, as in referenced in 9.15, Vishwato Mukham, or basically the how to see Krishna as everything in the material world, or how to see the material world as Krishna. So that is the meaning of the universal form, or the Vishwarupa form. So that is described by Lord Krishna. We'll go in a little bit detail in the next class, and then we will go from there. Next few verses, 9.20 to 9.25, will talk about demigods. That is the Prithaktvena Bahudha. Prithaktvena Bahudha. This is what we called as the 2B category. This was the 2A category, or 2C, whatever was there, the category. Okay. Now I will just
Can you slightly elaborate?
Yes, madam.
Universal form and actual form, who Krishna is. What is the differentiation?
So universal, okay. What does, I will reinterpret the question as, what is the universal form meaning here? That's how, let me try to answer that question, and you tell me whether you got it, or whether it answered your question. Okay. So there are some people, at one level, they think that the Asura level is what? That everything is meant for my gratification. That is Asura, isn't it? The whole world must serve me. I am the Lord, right? Instead of me serving the Lord or me serving anybody else, everybody should serve me. I am the center of the universe. That is Asuric mentality. Are you following so far?
Yes.
Then a higher mentality than the sense gratification mentality is, there is something higher than me. Something or someone higher than me. I am not the center of the universe. Okay. Now, for some people, they look around and they ask, what is the greatest thing that I can see around me with my material eyes? What is the greatest thing that I can see? So what is their answer? Their answer is nature. These huge mountains, these rivers, how they flow into the ocean, how the water evaporates from the ocean and gives rain and sustains life on in this world, how these stars and planets are moving in the sky, how this whole thing is working, and trying to find out the details of how nature works. This nature is so magnificent. And they know they cannot control nature. Asuras think everything is under my control. I am the king. Like Hitler, I want to occupy all the countries, make the biggest empire, like Alexander the Great or whoever, all these people, they think they can rule the whole material nature. Has anybody been able to rule material nature? No. They are as much subject to disease as anybody else. Even Donald Trump got COVID, correct? So you may be a very, very big person. You may think the whole world revolves around you. A small bacteria or virus, can subdue you, isn't it? So they realize, some people realize there is somebody or something greater than me. And if their answer is, oh, this material nature is the one that is greatest, okay, they are known as the worshippers of Vishwato Mukham. Then they try to find out what is this material nature. Like we are bhaktas. So aren't we trying to find out who is Krishna? Isn't it? Aren't you trying to find out what Krishna likes to eat? So you will make halwa, puri, offer to Krishna, isn't it? So that is what bhaktas do. They try to find out the details about Krishna. There is one whole chapter in Srimad Bhagavatam just describing Krishna's flute. That is known as Venu Gita. Venu means flute. So that is known as Venu Gita. Just describing the flute of Krishna is one whole chapter. That much how devotees want to find out about Krishna. Similarly, there are other people who want to find out about material nature. What are they called generally? Scientists. They are trying to find out how does nature work? How are all these planets going around the sun? Oh, GMM by R squared, theory of gravity. Newton, greatest scientist, right? Like that. So they are the worshippers of material nature. So we can say that they are the worshippers of Vishwato Mukham. They just consider material nature as the highest manifestation of the Supreme, beyond themselves. Then at next level, now I'm going into the demigods. Somebody thinks, how can just material nature work by itself? Even to drive a car, there has to be a driver. Isn't it? Car cannot drive on its own. Okay. Now, these days you may have Tesla car and all that, but all the algorithms are written by humans, right? How to drive a self-driving car. Who wrote those computer programs? Humans. So somebody thinks that thank you, Prabhuji. I got your message that you have to leave. So no problem. We'll be finishing in a couple of minutes. So somebody thinks how somebody is controlling this material nature. There has to be a person. They are called demigod worshippers because ultimately the Devis and Devatas have been appointed by Krishna to control material nature. Okay, to run the affairs of material nature. Like Indra, he is the controller of rain, isn't it? That is why he sent all the rain in Vrindavan and then Lord Krishna lifted the Govardhan hill. You remember that? So Lord Indra is the controller of rain. And similarly, there are many demigods or devatas controlling other aspects. In Srimad Bhagavatam, a list is given. So those who worship those that, no, I don't want to worship the material nature. I want to worship the person who is controlling the material nature. They become the next category. The Prithaktvena Bahudha. Like that. So, madam, did it answer your question a little bit?
My point was when we say Kan mein Bhagwan. So what is the difference between Kan mein Bhagwan and actual Bhagwan? Is there any difference?
Yes. So so that was your question. Okay, fine. So maybe yes. I answered a different question completely. Let me just clarify. The question I answered was, who are the universal form worshippers and what is the mentality they have? Now, the scientists do not have so the scientists can be called as the perfect universal form worshippers. They may not know it by that name, but that's who they are. But they have no sense that Kan mein Bhagwan or that God resides in every particle. They do not have that sense. So one who realizes that in every particle there is Bhagwan can be either in the a Jnana yogi or a Dhyana yogi or even a devotee. Devotee knows everything. So devotee is the superset. We already read from 8th chapter that devotee, a bhakta, has the knowledge of all the other forms as well. Okay. But through the process of Jnana or Dhyan, also you can get the faith, not just the knowledge, but the conviction that kan kan mein Bhagwan, or the Lord resides in every atom, especially in the Paramatma form. In the Paramatma form, and you can go back and review the lectures of chapter 6. We had a detailed discussion about this, where the Lord says that I am pervading everything in this material world as or in my Paramatma form. So they are above the Vishwato Mukham, they are above the demigods. They may not be bhaktas, but they may be the dhyana yogis or the jnana yogis. Okay, Mataji?
Thank you. Thank you.
Did it answer your question?
Still, I have some confusion. I will ask later.
Okay, but they are not the universal form worshippers. The universal form worshippers do not have this concept of Bhagavan. For them, the highest, the most supreme entity is material nature. And that's where they end. They have no conception of a personal Devi or Devata or Bhagavan as the supreme Lord, even of the Devis and Devatas. They have no
My
such
doubt
conception.
is 2C and 3 are almost same.
2C means universal form.
Purely material level पे जो devotion करते हैं, Vishwat Mukham.
No, they are very different. There is no concept of Bhagavan. Bhagavan means person Bhagavan.
Okay, that is the difference, right?
Yes.
Karkar mein Bhagwan and person as a person Bhagwan.
Yes, the Vishwato Mukham person may be completely atheistic. He may have no understanding, or he may even reject that there is anything superior to material nature. The difference between Asura and universal form worshipper is that he considers universal form superior to himself and he does not try to control material nature. So he surrenders to nature. He says, okay, I am under the control of nature. Let me try to control myself. So he will not eat too much, for example, because he knows I am in the control of material nature. If I eat too much, I will become sick. He follows the laws of nature, but there is no concept at all of any superior person, Bhagavan or demigod.
Thank you so much. I got it now.
Okay, great. Very nice. Thank you, madam. Okay, now I know some of you are dropping and I started trying to make some announcements, but we went into question answer. So quick 2 announcements. One is we started a Japa series. So we are talking about Kirtan and application and applying the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. The simplest application is Hare Krishna mahamantra japa. So every Thursday, and I think the message was sent to all of you, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Pacific time, we will do japa at our home. We will also turn on the Zoom camera. So you are welcome to join. You can all do japa every day in your own home at your own time. But just so that we can do together, if you are interested, you can join. Okay. So japa series, and the idea is to do 8 rounds in 1 hour, 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time.
Indian time will be
6:30 a.m.
6:30 a.m.
Friday
6:30
a.m. IST.
Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Yes, Hari Bol Prabhuji.
Because I am already doing every day 5 o'clock to 6:15 group job. So I will not be joining the job class.
No problem. No, this is optional. Yes.
Hare Krishna, and I am logging out.
Okay, no problem. Thank you so much. Very, very fortunate to have you.
Thank you.
Okay, second announcement is Bhakti Shastri, I had made this announcement a few weeks back. It is a deeper study of Bhagavad Gita and 3 other more books. So if you are interested in that, I have few seats, very few seats open, and you can contact me. We will start in about 2 months, I would say 2 to 3 months. One of the requirements is that you should be doing 16 rounds of japa every day. So if you are doing it, then you are eligible. And this is a deep study of Bhagavad Gita and 3 other books, smaller size: Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, and Ishopanishad. Ishopanishad is one of the 8 principal Upanishads. There will be homework, there will be tests. You have to memorize some of the shlokas, and it's a rigorous study. So it's not for the faint-hearted. Let me put it that way. But if you have the time and the determination, dridhavrataha, then you can let me know. I will have about 8 seats. The third one is our summer travel. I'll be traveling quite a bit on for various reasons, etc. And some other devotees, visiting devotees, are coming to Portland and all. So we'll have some disruption in the classes. So obviously we will send the announcements, but I'm just saying that for the next 1.5 months, we might not end up having class every week due to these various disruptions. But please keep in touch of Bhagavad Gita, keep reading it, do your japa, and don't deviate from Bhagavad Gita. And then once all these travels and all this is over, we will get back on the weekly cycle. Okay, thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank
We
you.
are
Thank you.
going to meet next week. Next week class is on. So next week class is on.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you.